Okay, moving on to the next segment of today's show. There was some news in the coaching carousel that came out on Monday that I wanted to discuss. And the announcement that came out was that the Philadelphia Eagles have actually decided to fire their head coach, former Super Bowl winning head coach, Doug Pederson. And we've spoken a lot about the Miami Dolphins on this show and how I've said a lot in this situation and everything that's been going on with Tua. I thought that the Miami Dolphins should maybe consider drafting a quarterback with the number 3 pick if they evaluated Justin Fields or if they evaluated Zach Wilson and said for sure that they thought that they would be better than Tua. And I said, I am not replacing Tua for just no reason whatsoever. I said that I would only replace Tua if I fell in love with a quarterback like Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, because this situation of Miami being a 10-win team and having a top 3 pick the following year, that is almost something that never happens, and that was a very unique situation. I really tried to emphasize how unique that situation was. Well, now you look at the news that came out yesterday that the Philadelphia Eagles have decided to fire their head coach, Doug Pederson. And I totally understand that when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles and everything that their owner, Jeff Luries, said during his press conference yesterday, and we're actually going to give you that audio in a little bit, Jeff Lurie kind of made it out to be like Doug Pederson, he was innocent. He just didn't do that great of a job, and when you look at the team, it's not like he didn't deserve to get fired, but it's just that he thought they would be better going in a new direction at head coach. And I just really disagreed with that notion, because at the same time, I think this situation with Carson Wentz, you have a quarterback that is making a stupid amount of money this upcoming season. And the point I'm trying to make here is that I think the only rationale you could have for firing Doug Pederson would be you obviously bought a lot of stock and invested a lot in Carson Wentz to be your starting quarterback of the future. And less than a year or so into that deal, he's already on the bench wanting to be traded. That is obviously a nightmare situation. And then obviously you look at all the reports that have came out recently about their relationship and just about the fact that Doug and Carson's relationship is so fractured that they can't really see both of them coming back next year. And I think that the Eagles making this decision to fire Doug Pederson kind of just told me that they were in no choice but to choose Carson Wentz over Doug Pederson, because they believe that there's a really good chance that there may not be an NFL team that is willing to take on Carson Wentz's contract. That's how bad it was. And I think my main takeaway from this announcement that the Philadelphia Eagles have fired Doug Pederson, I'm going to say this. Doug Pederson won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia. He did a lot for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he will always have a special place in many Eagles fans' hearts. But if Jeff Lurie, the Eagles owner, wants to use the rationale of it just wasn't the right direction, then he should have fired Howie Roseman also. Howie Roseman is currently the general manager of the Eagles, and let me give you guys the audio that Jeff Lurie, the Eagles owner, gave to the media in Philadelphia yesterday.
Very few people, probably after success, deserve to lose their job. This is much more about the evaluation of whether the Eagles, moving forward, our best option is to have a new coach, and that's really what it's about. It's not about did Doug deserve to be let go? No, he did not deserve to be let go. That's not where I'm coming from, and that's not the bar in the evaluation process.
Then why did you let him go? If he didn't deserve to be let go, shouldn't Doug Pederson still have a job right now? Howie Roseman, I hate to say it, is the one that I think is more responsible for this whole situation and where the Philadelphia Eagles are as a team right now. Because let's face facts. The number one problem with the Philadelphia Eagles right now is the fact that they had a quarterback that is making so much money, but the fact that he played so bad that he got benched And the Eagles were forced to put him on the bench because he was so bad, and they next year have to pay him a boatload of money. That is the number one problem with the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Now, could you say Doug Pederson didn't necessarily coach his best season this past year in 2020? Of course, absolutely. There were plenty of times where when you watch the Philadelphia Eagles this season, they just didn't look ready to play at all, and not to mention the dumb clock management mistakes that he's made. Also, everything that went down with that last Sunday Night Football game and Jalen Hurts, where it looked like he really could have been purposely trying to lose them to the game just to improve their draft pick. I was not a big fan of everything Doug Pederson did this season in 2020. He did not have a good year as a coach. But are we forgetting that only 3 years ago, he beat Bill Belichick in a Super Bowl, and he really outcoached him in that game? Are we just forgetting about that? And let's not forget, it's not like he's been bad since then. The Eagles, when Carson Wentz got hurt in 2018, made the playoffs as a wild card. They won a playoff game against the Chicago Bears and were very close to going on the road to New Orleans and beating the Saints. And then last year, they won the NFC East and beat Dallas in a must-win game at home behind Carson Wentz. And now, all of a sudden, the whole team falls apart and you're going to make Doug Pederson the scapegoat? I understand Doug Pederson didn't have his best coach season, but look at the way this roster is built right now. You have a quarterback that no one is going to want based on the money that he is making. That's number one. You look at the wide receivers on this team, who exactly do they have that's up and coming that scares you? I like Jalen Reagor. I am not really willing to bail on him after a so-so rookie year, but let's face facts. I think we could all agree that right now, the Philadelphia Eagles would rather have Justin Jefferson, the rookie wide receiver out of LSU, of the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Eagles would rather have him right now than Jalen Reagor because Justin Jefferson was on the board when Howie Roseman selected Jalen Reagor, and that was a bad draft pick. But that's not the first time this has happened. Howie Roseman has also taken J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. He actually got some run in the Philadelphia Eagles Sunday Night Football home finale against the Washington football team. They took that guy over DK Metcalf, who I understand kind of did flame out at the back end of this season, but he would be much better than really anyone on the Philadelphia Eagles right now, and he's significantly better than J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Even the decision to draft Jalen Hurts, I understand Jalen Hurts didn't look terrible throughout his first couple of games as quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, but when you're paying a quarterback in Carson Wentz that much money, what are you doing drafting a guy like Jalen Hurts in the second round? I totally understand the argument that Carson Wentz should be more tough, and he should just believe that when the Philadelphia Eagles are paying him that much money, there's no reason for him not to think that he is going to be the starting quarterback there long term when he has that contract. But at the same time, drafting Jalen Hurts was not an ideal move because they could have done something else. They could have used that pick on another offensive lineman or on another weapon to help Carson Wentz or another hole to fill on this defense. And I'm not exactly sure what exactly the Eagles' plan is for Jalen Hurts in the future. He's seen a handful of snaps throughout the back end of the season, but it might have come at the expense of Carson Wentz's confidence. Wentz has already had to deal with watching Nick Foles lead the Eagles from the sideline twice, and given the way Wentz and Hurts played, this Hurts selection may have possibly phased both of them, and I was not exactly sure, and still am not exactly sure to this day, why the Eagles made that pick. The other mistakes that stand out that Howie Roseman made. He didn't re-sign Malcolm Jenkins, a guy that was really the heart and soul of this Eagle defense. He did a lot for this Philadelphia Eagle team. The whole 2017 draft class, Derek Barnett, I understand he made the big-time play in the Super Bowl, but it's not like they're standouts. In that first round, he could have had Marlon Humphrey, Tre'Davious White, T.J. Watt, many really good football players. So I just think that if you fired Doug Pederson, okay, would I have made the move? Probably not, but if the argument is that there's literally no way to repair Doug and Carson Wentz's relationship, and if you believe that there's any chance that Carson Wentz could be the Eagles' starting quarterback next year, which I think he will be, there was really no way the Eagles could have brought Doug Pederson back. Okay, that's fine. I get it. But if that's the case, you have to just clean house and fire your general manager. This general manager has done really nothing right since that Super Bowl title, and Howie Roseman is under a lot of scrutiny in Philadelphia right now, and I believe it's rightfully deserved because right now, Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman seemed to me like they were just on the same page this whole time and never really believed in Doug Pederson. Whoever wants to come to Philadelphia and be the next head coach, it better not be a guy that wants a lot of control over personnel and wants a lot of influence, because clearly it seems to me like Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman never clearly believed in Doug Pederson because they never gave him any real confidence or control in terms of the team's draft picks and in terms of any personnel whatsoever. I'm not saying he should have had full control, but I think he could have at least had somewhat of a bigger influence. Especially when you consider the fact that everything that Doug Pederson has done for this Philadelphia Eagle franchise. Let's not forget that he is one of 7 head coaches in NFL history to have 3 playoff appearances and a Super Bowl in his first 4 seasons. His 35-28-1 record since 2017 is the 6th best in the NFC, and he made the playoffs in 3 of the last 4 years. Only the Rams, Seahawks, and Saints have matched that feat in the conference. Per Andrew Siciliano of the NFL Network, he's the first head coach fired within 3 years of winning a title since 1973. So on the surface, this doesn't make sense. But at the same time, I guess I understand the argument that, look, Carson Wentz and Doug Pederson, their relationship was fractured. Doug Pederson screwed that up. And by benching Jalen Hurts the last week of the season, that was a move that really probably did lose a lot of guys in that locker room. So if that's your argument as to why Doug Pederson should have been fired, I get it, but once again, you cannot give me a legitimate argument or any legitimate reason why Howie Roseman is still the general manager of this team, because I believe he is at fault just as big right now as Doug Pederson. He was the guy that has made all of these terrible draft decisions. He was the guy that decided to pay Carson Wentz, build his whole team around him, and then a couple years later, draft Jalen Hurts. And in 2020 in particular, the Philadelphia Eagles have really just not gotten the job done. Jeff Lurie chose Howie Roseman and Carson Wentz over Doug Pederson, and at the end of the day, it makes a lot of disappointing sense. Jeff Lurie has an emotional attachment to Howie Roseman, and he has an attachment to Carson Wentz. He apparently had no real connection to Doug Pederson and lost confidence in the Super Bowl winning head coach to really turn this team around. And that's why, if I was a Philadelphia Eagle fan, this whole situation would just really disappoint me. Doug Pederson is probably going to get a second head coaching job. I don't know if it will come this year, but I just don't really know what direction right now the Philadelphia Eagles are going in, because you don't know who their quarterback is, you don't know who their head coach is, and I don't trust their general manager whatsoever.